Virtual meeting on academia post-corona. To invite our friend Eli McCarthy from Georgetown University.
Everyone, I just want to kind of share three quick thoughts. So one is about kind of learning processes. I think as we move online, one of the opportunities is to really draw on student wisdom in the online learning environment. Theoretically, this is kind of about participatory education or popular education, but thinking of our students as sharing in the leadership of educational experience, and what do they know about technology, and what ways of interacting have worked for them and their kind of experience so far. So I think that's a big opportunity that can impact education more broadly. A second point is more about the institution's role in the public good. I think it invites us, this kind of moment, to call for a shift in how we teach and think about security strategies to a more kind of public health approach. So this approach recognizes that violence tends to act like a contagious disease, and we sort of need to interrupt the transmission of violence. But it also invites us to focus on cultivating healthy persons, relationships, society, and cross-border relationships. So the interdependence, interconnectedness that others have spoken about. And this focus on the health of all persons draws our attention to the most marginalized persons, whether it be elderly, people in prison, people who don't have legal status, and so forth. Another element it invites is recognizing healthcare workers, particularly as expressions of nonviolent resistance, that they are risking their lives without killing others. So it's a way for us to kind of inject a deeper understanding of nonviolence in our communities. Further, a public health approach helps us see the links between the pandemic and the loss of biodiversity, and thus the need to prioritize climate change. And another element is sort of this idea of integral disarmament, the sense that a public health approach invites us to kind of reduce our internal resentment and hostility, but also the external weapons, particularly military weapons. And this is showing up now in the UN and many others, kind of supporting and calling for a global ceasefire in the various large-scale violent conflicts. So we could really move to support that and try to sustain that. The last point I want to share is kind of about our fields of study, and particularly I see an opportunity for us to really focus more on developing or enhancing existing peace studies programs and courses on nonviolent theory and practice. So this is learning both about nonviolent resistance and conflict transformation, but also reducing our attention to military strategies and weapons that many of our schools and institutions have a lot of investment in. About learning nonviolence as this kind of intersectional praxis. A piece of that is also working with Indigenous around climate and biodiversity issues, learning from them about what they have to offer and teach us. Demilitarizing the university, so both in kind of the emphasis in some of our courses, but the symbols that might be around our university. In the US, we have these ROTC programs, which are used to train military officers. So how can we start to de-emphasize those kind of institutions and shift more to the focus on nonviolent learning and leadership? So I'm going to leave it there and appreciate the conversation. Thank you.
Now I will give the word to Walid. Walid from Al-Najah University.
First, thanks, Sami, and for the American University of Sicily for this golden opportunity to discuss this great topics. I wanted to highlight that the corona pandemic shown a great deficit in the world in the term of medical readiness in medical research. This although shown us the falsehood of the pink image of the huge number of research published internationally and locally, conferences, journals. We have many papers published on medical, in medicine, in treatment, but this huge amount of work did not have the potent to solve this problem. And this sent me for 3 questions, which I will put it in front of you all. And let's carry it with us for our universities, for our government, for the people who can take decision of this situation. First of all, are we going to get out of the idea of racing in the number of research and publishing for like to apply for research evaluating for the product, not for the number? We have a problem now. We are just racing to publish number of papers. We have a problem like in Palestine. How many papers you publish per year? It's like a trend. Like it's not the quality of the research, it's the number of research. We are going for the easy research or promotion, which send me to the second question. Are we going to change the policy of promotion? Because now all promotions going for the scientific research. So we're going for the easy research. We are not going for applicable research. Because of that, we found ourselves now, we have many lost knowledge about vaccination. We have many lost knowledge about dealing with the virus. It was shock for all of us. It's a virus, it's a coronavirus. We all know the coronavirus. We have many coronavirus attack a human. This is a new one. Why we could not deal with? Where's the researchers? Where is that huge funds for researchers all over the world? We hear about millions. Where is those millions? What they are doing? What they are doing with this research? And the third question, I think it's really, 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 really important, is the government going to fund the real research? Is the government going to focus on practical researchers for funding and to go out from the political point of view? Because we have a problem in the Middle East. I don't know if the other country, maybe they are facing the same. Are we under the policy, the politics, or we are just free scientists? So let's go for more free in medical term and science term in our research, but don't tell the money and politics take our role and decide in what's going on in the research. And I think the corona pandemic, which demonstrated the weakness in our research, maybe this should be a point, and I like the point when they said before Christ and after Christ, and it is just see before corona and after corona. Maybe we will start this point in education and say after corona, what shall we do in research, mainly in medical research, because we need to change our mentality in this point. The research and the topics of the research to be applicable, not the number of papers we publish. And this is, I think, I saw it in Northwestern University when they say the professorship maybe for education alone, not for research, to distinguish between the promotion and the research itself. Let the research be as a research. Thank you, Sami, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about this.
Now I would like to introduce Arish Asaf from the University of Jordan.
It's really a great pleasure for me to be with you today. So thank you, Sami, for inviting me. Although I've just been prepared since last night to give this brief talk about Jordan and our preparation in Jordan. This is our 5th week of teaching online, although we've been in blended learning at the university for some of the courses since a couple of years, but it's our first. I'm a university professor at the School of Pharmacy in the field of immunology. So, not all the courses can be blended, but now everything is online, which is like making it a little bit difficult for us. Especially taking into consideration that the University of Jordan and all the other universities are now under the umbrella, all are under the umbrella of the higher education, Ministry of Higher Education, which are now under the regulations of the, or taking the responsibilities from the government's defense orders. So we are obeying whatever the government or the Ministry of Health is trying to accomplish the teaching in the best way for the students, for their own benefits, taking into consideration, as you all said, the internet, the connections, and everything during this period. So, but with this small country, we've really made big impacts. I don't know if all heard about it, because we are trying to control, and we are hoping that it's going to end very soon. All the students, in order to be able to connect, and almost like 90% of the households in Jordan, they do have smartphones and internet connections, because it's considered one of the cheapest country for the internet. So we are not facing that much problems concerning the internet, but still we can't rely on online teaching all the time. So we've got to record and send them the records, but try to make some meetings by Zoom at least once weekly. Since I'm teaching at school pharmacy, we do have, one of the problems is that, as I said, we can't make all the courses online. So we do have the clinical practice, which is also gonna be solved, hoping by June time that we return back to have concentrated courses. But during this time, what we try to is to increase the awareness and the knowledge of the students about the disease while we are teaching. Also connecting the students, not only with the students, but also with their families and the people around, to spread more awareness about the disease and how they can control or treat or deal with the situation, let's say. With regard to the research, this is our main problem, is, as Raja said, most of the researchers are mostly surveys, online surveys. Although the Jordan Scientific Research Support Fund have recently announced openings for researchers for funds to apply for, but unfortunately, most of them, they are not practical in the lab. We are not allowed till now. This is our almost 5th week to go to the research labs. We are all teaching and working from home. So we're having a little bit more restricts than maybe other countries. And this is making us making it a little bit difficult for us. But during this time, we're reading, we're trying to do our efforts to at least putting proposals for projects. And now, as Dr. Walid said, he's a virologist, for example. It's good to collaborate with someone to continue with the immunology part, so we can do also researches in collaboration with other institutions, other countries. And this is a good opportunity during this platform to maybe later we can discuss it for future collaborations in this field. This is the Jordanian experience, which we are trying our best to accomplish in the best way.